Ms. Barton, thanks for beginning the recording. The time is now 6:01 p.m. I would like to call to order the May 5th, 2025 Board Audit Committee meeting. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Tiffany Anderfull, Chair of this committee and District 1 board member. The primary purpose of the Prince George's County Board of Education Audit Committee is to provide oversight of the financial reporting process, the audit process, the Prince George's County Public School System of internal controls and compliance with laws and regulations. Welcome to our committee members and any other Board of Education members. Also, I would like to welcome members of the administration and special guests. We'll now have introductions starting in this order. Board members, administrative staff, board office staff, and all other guests.
Good evening. I'm Pamela Boozer-Struther, Vice Chair of the Committee and District 3 Board of Education member.
Good evening. I'm Amy Olivo, District 4 Board of Education member and not yet a member of any committee.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Jackson, Chairman of the Prince George's County Board of Education, District 6 Representative. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Mia Barton, Board Administrative Staff.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Christy Murphy-Baldwin, Chief of Human Resources.
Ms. Thorpe?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dina Thorpe. I am the new Director of Internal Audit for PGCPS.
Ms. Adley?
Oh, I guess it's only me left. Hi, everyone. Cindy Adlin, Interim Director, Board of Education Office.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to this evening's meeting. Ms. Barton, could you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Dr. Tiffany Anderfull.
Present.
Ms. Pamela Boozer-Struther.
Present.
Ms. Robin Brown. Mr. Brandon Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Jamal Jungo. We have 3 present.
Thank you. A quorum is present. The question is to, oh, apologies, 1 second. Yes. Ms. Barton, we can move into the adoption of the agenda, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. The question is to adopt the May 5th, 2025 Board Audit Committee meeting agenda without objection. There being no objection, the May 5th, 2025 Board Audit Committee meeting agenda has been adopted. The question is to approve the February 3rd, 2025 and March 3rd, 2025 Board Audit Committee meeting minutes without objection. There being no objection, the February 3rd, 2025 and March 3rd, 2025 Board Audit Committee meeting minutes have been approved. We'll now move to public comment. There are 0 registered public comment speakers for this evening. We'll now move to the next agenda item. Is there any discussion or action items? Hearing none, we'll move to the next agenda item, 3.1. Prince George's County Public Schools and the role of the Office of Legislative Audits. Actually, I apologize. Can I go back one, Ms. Barton? I'd actually like to take this time before we get into this agenda item to recognize and formally introduce Ms. Dina Thorpe, our new Internal Audit Director. She introduced herself in the opening, but I would also just like to give her an opportunity, since this is her first Board Audit Committee meeting, to formally introduce herself and share a little bit about herself before we jump into today's agenda. Ms. Thorpe?
Thank you, Dr. Anderful. Again, my name is Dina Thorpe, and I was recently hired sometime in March to begin as the Director of Internal Audit. I bring a wealth of experience, close to almost 20 years of experience in the audit realm, working in federal, state, and local government sectors. I have a lot of experience with quality assurance and making sure that audits are completed in accordance with our standards, whether it is internal auditing standards or AICPA related standards, as well as the Yellow Book or GAGAS as we call it. I also have a lot of experience just doing different operational and investigation audits as well. And just looking to bring all of that experience into PGCPS to really drive a difference and try to enforce everything that we're doing here, and making sure that internal audit is being that layer of defense where we are identifying things or internal control deficiencies to help make sure that we're improving and being efficient and effective in our efforts as a whole. So thank you for this time.
Thank you, Ms. Thorpe, and thank you for joining us. I'd like to recognize Chair Jackson.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anderful. I just wanted to quickly make a comment and say Vice Chair Board, Pamela Boozer Struthers, and also Board Member Walker sat in on the interview process with Ms. Dina Thorpe, and just want to say how we were so impressed with her experience, her credentials, having experience in the public and private sector. I think she'll be an asset to PGCPS, and we're just so excited to have her on board.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair Jackson, and welcome again, Ms. Thorpe. We are extremely elated to have you on board and look forward to working with you moving forward. Okay, now we will move on to agenda item 3.1, background regarding the Prince George's County Public Schools and the role of the Office of Legislative Audits. This evening, we will be providing a high-level overview of the Financial Management Practices Audit Report conducted by the Office of Legislative Audit. The audit report was completed in March of 2025. And we'll be providing a brief overview. We will be opening the floor for discussion following the conclusion of the reporting out on the specific action steps that are being taken following the findings that have been reported. Oh, it's up on the screen. Thank you so much, Ms. Barton. Give me one moment. Okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to begin before we jump into specifically talking about the Financial Management Practices Audit. Just speaking briefly about the Office of Legislative Audits, also referred to as OLA, for those of you who may not be aware. The OLA is a part of the Maryland General Assembly. It conducts financial audits of all 24 Maryland school systems every 6 years. And this particular audit that they conducted was released again on March 2025. It examined 11 core operational areas, including payroll, procurement, transportation, and food services. We've had a proven track record, Prince George's County Public Schools, of responding to audits with very clear action as to how we will move forward and effectively actually respond and resolve findings in the past. And so this evening, we'll be providing information about how you can actually access the audit for your information, and again, speak to specifically some of the corrective actions and action plans that have been put in place as a result of the findings shared. So we can move to the next slide, Ms. Barton. Thank you. So the financial management practices audit, again, released in March of 2025. The objectives were rather straightforward in that they were to evaluate the effectiveness of Prince George's County Public Schools procedures and controls for accounting and safeguarding its assets, and evaluate policies and their ability to provide the efficient use of financial resources. The audit was conducted in accordance with the requirement of the State Government Article Section 21220E of the Annotated Code of Maryland. If you would like to access the full audit, there's a QR code provided here. Feel free to access the audit here. I'll give you a moment. Okay, thank you, Ms. Barton. Okay, can now move into some of the specific actions that were taken. Again, I encourage everyone, if interested, to review the audit, review the specific findings that were provided. Again, the goal and purpose of this time, as promised, was to ensure that we're bringing this information to the public. We are wanting to ensure that there's transparency and accountability as it relates to the findings. And so some of the actions that have been implemented to date have been around payroll accuracy, transportation, improving the transportation payroll process, transportation efficiency, and addressing the bus routing system. With regard to payroll accuracy, we've introduced preventative measures and additional staff reviews to ensure payroll data accuracy. We've also instituted new reports and payroll runs, ensuring that they're being used to capture any discrepancies moving forward. With regards to the transportation payroll process, the daily payroll process for transportation, it has been since revised to ensure better accuracy, and we're working with vendors to improve payroll tracking and implementing monthly overtime audits. When it comes to transportation efficiency, we have a new routing system that's been secured, and we're working to improve efficiency by defining start and end times and also prioritizing the development of clear routing procedures under new leadership. In our bus routing system, we've implemented a new system that sets capacity limits, ridership goals, and ride time limits with ongoing reviews of optimal efficiency. Additional actions that will occur. Ms. Barton, if you can advance slide. Thank you. In addition to the actions that have already been implemented, there are additional targeted action plans. The divisions with specific audit findings will be developing detailed plans with timelines for corrective actions. We're, of course, enhancing oversight. We're strengthening internal controls and accountability to ensure the effectiveness of these corrected actions, and increasing training and compliance monitoring. There will be ongoing staff trainings to ensure compliance with corrective actions and policies. And lastly, regular progress monitoring, and reporting. Will be quarterly updates on corrective actions. They'll be provided to the Board of Education and posted for transparency and accountability on the PGCPS website. We'll pause there. At this time, we do want to ensure that we allow time for discussion and questions. And again, as I mentioned, the goal tonight was to ensure that we were providing access to the audit, speaking to the specific implemented actions and any additional actions that will be forthcoming now that we've actually received the findings as of March 2025. We do have administrative staff here to support. But again, the goal is to ensure that there's time for discussion as needed. And again, here's the QR code should you want to access the audit report. The management letter that precedes the full audit report is extremely helpful in just providing an overview of the report. We also encourage everyone to ensure that you are reviewing the administration's full responses, which can be found at the back of the audit. And at this time, we will open for discussion. Thank you, Ms. Barton. I'll begin by seeing if there are any questions from the board. Yes, Chair Jackson.
So good afternoon, everybody again. One of the things that I was thinking about is the internal controls piece. Could we have Ms. Thorpe's just talk about the internal controls that are in place so we can mitigate these issues coming forward?
What specifically? So with the internal controls, I guess if you can kind of pinpoint your question a little bit more to help me understand how to answer.
Pull up, Dr. Anderful, can you pull up the presentation again?
Yes, Ms. Barton, thank you.
Actually, I'm looking because sometimes.
Which slide would you?
So I think he's referencing on when it
Yeah.
comes to the last slide around additional actions, there was a mentioning of enhanced oversight. So mentioning that there would be a strengthening of internal controls and accountability to ensure effectiveness of corrective actions. And so I think Chair Jackson, that is actually just speaking to just over, just more broadly, just in ensuring that there is enhanced oversight. And so I imagine, and then I'll turn it over, that as it relates to, a number of these different findings. So when it comes to payroll accuracy, things around transportation and bus routing, that there would be different internal controls, right? Or oversight could look different in each of those areas.
Yeah,
I'll turn it over and see if either Ms. Thorpe's or perhaps Dr. Baldwin could speak to and provide an example of what this could look like.
but before you turn it over, yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about those for a second. And with the internal controls, I just wanted to know, and like it could be Dr. Baldwin or it could be Ms. Thorpe's can talk to like what tangible mechanisms were put in place. I know you probably can't cover all of them in a short period of time, but like if there's anything that just can give us a little bit more I guess, confidence in, something like this not happening again or mitigating the chances of these things happening again. I just wanted to know if there was anything out there that you can just mention to us as far as like from a control standpoint.
I'm happy to jump in and help our new director of internal audit. I can only say when I joined PGCPS in October of, I think it was 2018, I was on the receiving end of where we are right now. I had just joined the school system, just received an OLA report, and trying to figure out what are next steps. So for me, it's full circle to now be 6 years later being on the receiving end. And I will say in between that period of time, what I remember as far as what we've done as far as internal controls is Ms. Thorpe's predecessor had the OLA findings and would periodically also do random follow-up audits so that it wasn't this long time period between, because OLA does them, I think, every 6 to 7 years, 6 years, so that if we have an internal organization that actually follows up with some of the more critical findings to just keep a shorter progress monitoring monitoring in between. So that could be or has been one of the examples. And I think that for me, it was a specific one when I came in 2018 related to transportation. So it was nice to find out that, something that was previously in the audit about transportation and records and personnel was not in the follow-up.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
To add on to that, that will likely still be the same process where we will take external audits, whether it's from OLA or OIGE, whoever it would be from, that will be considered when it's time for us to do our annual audit planning process so that we can make sure that we're also continuing to follow up on these matters and make sure that the corrective actions have also been implemented. And then it's another point here at the bottom where we're talking about regular progress reporting that is really interesting to me because I have been working with my team to also start tracking specific audit findings as well as the action items, like when they are due or expected to be implemented, so that we could start doing follow-up and making sure that, at least from internal audit and potentially also the external audits, we can follow up on those items to just make sure that the action items are actually being implemented as they have stated in the responses. So that's something else that I think we will also look to do.
Yeah. And I don't know, Dr. Enderful, is my time up? Or...
I don't see time being tracked. And I'm Ms. Barton.
Yeah, the timer is not coming up. I'm tracking it. Yeah, your 2.5 is over.
Okay.
I'm tracking it.
I'll wait till my next question then, I guess.
Thank you. Thought it was just me for a moment. I was like, I don't see it. Do any other board members have questions? Okay. If not, then Chair Jackson, it's back to you.
Back to me again. Okay. So quick question is that, well, I guess more of a statement pretty much. So I just want to say, I think that this will be very helpful because in the past there hasn't really been a audit function that specifically looks to the follow-up of the recommendations by the audit committee. Excuse me, by the internal audit. I think that there's just been conversations that have happened, and it's just like, we've done this XYZ. But as far as like having a true like watchdog entity that looks to see like, okay, these, you know, 20 or 19 or however many, recommendations were made, and to actually have a follow-up and say these, out of all of these recommendations, these have been executed and implemented, according to that recommendation, and giving the board insight on what actually has taken place. I feel like it's very valuable for the board of education because I think that's the missing piece. So I just want to say thank you for bringing that dimension to audit because, and I don't know if my board members can, fellow colleagues can speak to this, but I haven't seen that in an actual like like a KPI always, say like a metric that's really like measuring recommendation versus implementation piece. So I think that's an amazing feature that we're adding to the internal audit department. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Chair Jackson. Recognize Board Member Olivo.
Thank you, Board Member Anderful. This question might be more for Dr. Baldwin because you mentioned that you started just prior to the last 6-year audit. I wondered if you could share with us, so I haven't had a chance to go back 6 years to that audit, but I wondered if there are issues that were raised in that audit that then we saw raised again, 6 years later, or are we really looking at different issues, that we saw 6 years ago, perhaps there were some corrective measures put into place, and now there are different issues being raised in this audit. But I wondered if there are things that we saw 6 years ago in the audit and that now came up again.
Thank you for that question. For me, I will be transparent in the beginning that it was just such a blur that it's hard to remember the first year. But one of the things, and for us as a district, we take each one of our division areas and focus really on that. So when I came in, one of the issues that I had to address were salaries. And that's where internal audit throughout the year also followed up on salary setting guidelines. And so I was pleased to not see that come across again. So that's just an example of how it has worked for me. I know there was also a big thing or a big area of need when it came to transportation because our bus drivers also have to have physicals. There is a lot of paperwork in regards to becoming a bus driver. And so just making sure they were housed accordingly and in the order that OLA had expected, and to not see those same things. And this time it was more about the routing system. So I think that's one of the things that I noticed in the report, that a lot of, if you want to measure, as Chair Jackson said, like a KPI metrics, there were findings this time, but there were not a lot of repeat findings if you look at it as a whole. And the things they found this time are new areas that we have to address. And I think at the end of the day, that's the purpose of auditing, right? Is they're not coming to find what you're doing right. They're coming to find what you're doing wrong. And Mia's giving me the phone. So it's just shame on us if we don't take those opportunities to change.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that answer.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay. There are no other questions from the board. Again, provided the link to the full audit for your review. I think I failed to mention that there were 16 findings, and so again, you will see those there listed out for you in their entirety. With regard to next steps, this actual presentation has been uploaded to board docs as well. If you'd like to review some of the action plans that have been implemented and in future actions, any follow-ups from tonight's meeting will be shared upon receipt. There being no further business, the time is now 6:29, and the May 5th, 2025 Board Audit Committee meeting, I'm going to get it right one time, is adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
all.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.